Hey, everybody, it's Rhino. I'm joined at the table with
Steve.
and back running the controls. We've got Oliver or Ollie.
I've been called worse. You can call me either. I don't mind.
I almost said a bad word immediately, was my
really-
reaction to that.
As soon as the show's done, I want to know exactly what that bad word is. I really do.
Well, we're here to talk about some Diz Pop. Who's Pop? Diz Pop. I was hoping for another pop noise. There it is. That's what we hired Oliver for. I don't know if you guys know this, but
He's an
his
expert
special-
pop noise maker.
On the resume at the bottom, it said special talents, pop noises with mouth. And I thought, this is
Got
the
it.
guy. We've got to put in a good word for him. So, anyway, this last weekend, The Jungle Book opened. And I think I'm the only one in this room who's seen it, right?
Yeah, you'll have to tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah. So it's a pretty straightforward remake of the cartoon. It's a straight up, like, I saw an interview with John Favreau.
One of those is probably
Now
right.
I have said it so many times it
Yeah.
doesn't sound real.
Yeah.
John Favreau. And he has said that The Jungle Book, when he was a kid, was one of his favorite movies, and so he was very inspired by that, and he feels very passionate about making this live action movie. It was a movie based on the trailers I was only kind of remotely interested in, but a friend of mine wanted to go, and we went. I saw it on IMAX, so it was big screen, 3D, and I have to say, it was actually it was really good. It was a pretty good movie, but the spectacle is pretty amazing too. I know that a lot of this, well, actually, I think most of this movie was filmed on sound stages in L.A. So the fact that this is very convincingly the jungle, and these planes and everything is just a testament to how far this is CG done right.
Right. You don't even realize.
Yeah.
That's impressive. Yeah.
It's insane. When I was sitting there, I thought to myself, this might be a movie I'd buy just for the special features alone,
Wow.
just to watch. I want to see all the animal stuff and.
I have heard, and I'm interested to hear what you have to say. I've heard that the boy is not the best actor.
See, they're running a preview of this movie at Disney's Hollywood Studios and the animation, not the animation, excuse me,
One Man's Dream.
One Man's Dream, yeah. And did I go with you to watch that?
Yeah, we saw it together.
and-
So I've seen the preview.
And
but-
I said to you, when we left, I was like, oh, this boy is going to be the make or break of the film for me. He's not necessarily a make or break for me. He's not horrible, but he's also not. I'm not here's the next
the prodigy.
Dakota Fanning.
Yeah.
I guess that's where I went for childhood actors.
So
Who would you say for childhood actors?
Not a clue. I was going to say, excuse my ignorance completely, but the guy, I know he doesn't look Caucasian. So is he a native of a certain country, or is he American born?
The boy?
Yeah, the actor.
I believe he is he is not Caucasian. I don't believe. I just think he's really light skinned. I think.
Well,
I can double check that.
The
and
reason
look that
I
up
was
real
going down that route is because I was thinking maybe he's he's not an actor. He's not a trained actor. Sometimes
yeah.
people do get plucked from.
Yeah, I'm pretty
Different
sure this is his first major thing. What was really cool is I actually went to D23 last year with the Diz, as many of you or any of you who watched this might remember. And they actually brought Jon Favreau, who came out on stage, and he had Ben Kingsley came out, Lupita Nyong'o came out, and because she's basically in every Disney movie from now until forever. Because Star Wars, she's in the Queen of. Oh my gosh, I forgot the name of it. But there's another movie in September she's coming out in, and I thought there was another one too. But so they basically were saying that she's contractually obligated to be in every Disney movie from now on. But he came out, and then Jon Favreau brought the boy out too, and they were speaking very highly of this boy, Neil Sethi. Neil Sethi is his name, I think. But it doesn't really say. Oh, he is Indian American. Yes.
Does that mean he was born in India and moved to America?
No, it says he was born in New York. He's an Indian American originally from New York City. So I'm assuming just a heritage thing. But so he is the correct, because I believe Mowgli is Indian. I think in the original he's
Yeah, I
supposed
think
to
he
be
was Indian.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
He's not bad. It's just he's not Anakin Skywalker episode 1. He's no Jake Lloyd, so it's not that bad, but he's also not like he's not a prodigy like you said. But he could be better too. He's just a little kid. I think he's only about like, although this says 2003. Oh my gosh, he's 13 years old this year. That kind of blows my mind a little bit. I thought this kid was like 8 years old. But he's okay in the movie. He's good. But Mowgli, I feel like, as much as he is the main character, is not necessarily the star of this film. I don't want to like get into like spoiler territory or anything like that for anybody who hasn't seen it, but it follows pretty closely to the Jungle Book story. There's a little bit of twists here and there, a little bit of play on some
Which is
stuff.
good. Keeps it exciting.
Yeah.
You're not just watching the same movie, not cartoonized.
Yeah. And I saw a comparison too of shots. Like there are some recreated shots from the animated film in this film too. So that was pretty cool. Yeah, I'm trying to think that, my only thing, I would say my score, I know on Rotten Tomatoes, this movie's sitting at a 94% with critics and a 92% with audiences, which is pretty high. And that's
really
great
good.
because this is Disney's second movie this year already that's done that, because Zootopia was also at like a 98 or 99. And I think Zootopia, I enjoyed Zootopia a little bit more than this, but it was also like a very original work, whereas this is a little derivative. But The Jungle Book, even as a kid, I like The Jungle Book, but it's never been like, that's one of my favorite Disney movies. It's absolutely a classic Disney movie for sure. But it was never like, everybody loves The Bare Necessities.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, they do have that in the movie. And I think that part worked great for being like a musical number. There is one other musical number that for me...
King Louie?
Yeah, King Louie does the song. And the words are a little different, but that for me was a weaker part of the movie. It didn't feel as naturally occurring. It felt like they were leading up to it, like, oh, we have to do this scene in the movie.
I wonder if it's one of those things where if it wasn't so iconic of a song, they probably wouldn't have.
That's the thing,
Yeah, like it probably wasn't essential to this movie maybe as much as it maybe was to the original, because the original was so much more of a musical, correct?
Yeah.
So maybe they just felt like, oh, well, we got to keep the bare necessities and I want to be like you.
Those were the two, yeah.
Yeah, so maybe one of them, they kind of mixed it in a little bit better than the other. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Bare Necessities for sure feels very naturally occurring in the film, whereas this one is just like, oh, the Southern Monkey's singing a song too. And it's weird because when they start singing, oh my gosh, what's the name of the Louis song?
I Want to Be Like You.
I Want to Be Like You. The music swell into that song. You can hear it starting to happen. Whereas in Bare Necessities, it's like Baloo's humming the song and it just starts to happen. So it doesn't. It has a little more of that natural occur to it.
Right. Kind of like how if you were actually singing that, you might.
Right, yeah. and that's actually how the song comes about. Is Baloo's humming a song, singing to himself, and the kid doesn't know what music is, so Baloo explains it to him, and then like as their relationship is progressing, they start singing to each other, and it's a nice
cool.
and like the kid can't sing, so it's not a musical number, but it is like happening and playing. But
that's kind of a cool, like, it makes it feel more real maybe that they didn't find some great singer.
Right. Yeah.
Because like that's not the point. For sure. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, and it was good. That actually brings me to the cast of this movie too. I think Bill Murray as Baloo was fantastic. Christopher Walken as King Louie. You can't kind of like, who else is going to be King Louie? Come on. And then I think Ben Kingsley as Bagheera was fantastic, and Idris Elba, another, I feel like, Disney contracted person to be in all Disney movies, was absolutely wonderful.
Ka was...
Okay, Scarlett Johansson, yeah. It was weird because I'm used to hearing Scarlett Johansson's voice as a voiceover now, I guess, because of Her and the movie Her, which was fantastic. If you haven't seen that, definitely see it. But I have this weird love-hate relationship with her. Like, I don't like her sometimes, but then she'll be in something and I'll be like, oh, that was so good. She's great. Like, she's great as the Black Widow.
Right.
But since Ka's really only in that one scene, it's a scene.
Okay.
It's an interesting scene. But what's fun is at the end, when the end credits roll, all the songs are in the end credits. And so Scarlett Johansson sings do you remember the name of Ka's song? Something
not
about
off the top of my
looking
head.
like. I'm gonna look that up.
Whenever I think of Ka, though, I think of Winnie the Pooh, since the original voice actor and Winnie the Pooh are
Yeah,
the
it
same.
has that-
Yeah, so they sound exactly the same, but obviously not this case.
Well, the way they did the song in this movie, "A Trust in Me," that's the song, because she's like, "Trust in me, man cub." But they, with Scarlett Johansson's voice being kind of that sultry, a little bit deeper tone, they at the end credits, it sounds very much like a James Bond song. Like it sounds like Adele, kind of a James Bond song, and so it's got this. They've got these cool animated credits that look like it's a James Bond movie opening, and I thought that was a really cool,
That's cool.
fun. Like, so if you go see the movie, I think it's actually worth staying through the credits too, because they do a cool thing with the book closing and opening, and then they're like, it's different type of an animation, but it's a really interesting looking thing. And I will say this: I don't normally like 3D movies either, but I think this movie was conceptualized in 3D and therefore filmed natively in 3D. And I am a firm believer of seeing movies the way they were conceptualized.
be,
Yeah.
yeah.
So Christopher Nolan shoots his movies predominantly with as many IMAX cameras as he can. You see it in an IMAX movie. If somebody has shot and conceived the movie in 3D and not done it as a gimmick, then I'll see it that way. And I think there's a lot of moments in this movie that those are very well done. Yeah, so I'd recommend it. For me, I would give it an 85. I feel like when there's a little moment in the middle where it starts to drag a little bit because all the other scenes are paced so well that then this one kind of like dips just a little bit. And then yeah,
How would you compare it to the original? Better or worse, or is it not really fair because you can't really compare the original to, you know?
yeah, I would say it's a worthy live action remake. That, there's some of the Disney is on that kick right now where they're just they did. I haven't seen Cinderella yet.
It's actually pretty good.
I heard that Cinderella was one of the better ones. There's another one though too, right?
Maleficent.
Maleficent,
That one went over a little bit, not as
Yeah,
well.
a little more divided,
Yeah.
a little more like, I think Cinderella was the one to kind of bring it more in line with being like it's live action, but it's still kind of the cartoon,
Yeah,
but
right,
it's it's got its twists. And I think this continues that trend and maybe refines it even a little bit better, where it's pretty straightforward, the same story with a little bit of differences, and definitely a little more dramatically told. It's got a certain excitement or intensity, so the action scenes kind of ring a little more like action scenes, and then you've got your animated version, which definitely more has those animated musical scenes. So it's got a little bit more. There were a couple moments that I got a little shocked, like, whoa, I got scared,
Yeah.
and you'd seen it in 3D too, and like a tiger jumps at your face, you're going to jump back a little bit, and the tiger, the tiger is made to feel like he is a threat. So there's definitely that feeling there. So I applaud it actually for being a little more mature in that.
That's cool.
In that aspect of it. Mowgli gets hurt. There is blood. Like it's not like it's not.
Like an
malicious
open
blood or
wound,
anything.
yeah.
Yeah, but it'll be like, oh, the animal, he scraped himself here, so there's like the red here, and like he tumbled through a thing. So it's realistic, but it's not also like gushing or dramatic or anything like that. So it's kind of like it's there, But I would recommend it. I would for sure. I would say that you're not going to get the same out of it on Blu-ray watching it at your house, even if you have a 3D TV. I think this is something maybe to go out and see. And it's done pretty well. Apparently, in the first weekend, it beat expectations, and it opened to over $103 million.
Wow.
So that was pretty impressive. That, I guess, is the company's 9th largest opening of all time. And Zootopia just had a similar really good thing. So Disney, this
They're on
first
a kick
quarter,
right now.
Yeah. And I actually read an interesting article the other day, is that right before the movie opened in America, Disney put into development The Jungle Book 2.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so the studio's going to move forward with, I guess, Jon Favreau and the screenwriter Justin Marks. They're all in negotiations to come back.
Hopefully it's better than the animated Disney sequels, because
Was there a Disney animated sequel to this?
There's like a Jungle Book 2. I bet you there's a Jungle Book 3.
Well, that was, was that in the 90s where there was like the Little Mermaid 2? I remember that.
Yeah,
Pocahontas 2.
2003, there was the Jungle Book 2.
But I want to know, was that a movie in the middle or did that take place afterwards? Because the Jungle Book animated series has an end. I mean, not series, but the animated film. Like Mowgli goes. Ooh, spoiler! If you haven't seen that movie, that's been out for about 50 years. Mowgli returns home with the family. I will say I remember the Jungle Book, the end of the cartoon being very intense, and I'll say the end of this movie has a little bit of intensity. Yeah, but also one of the character traits of Mowgli, which is the reason why for me like the movie sits a little low, like 85% for me. It's just like it works in the movie, but it seems a little foolish when everything else is so dramatic. He's got a little bit of a character trait. I don't want to go into see the movie because it has something to do with what happens later.
So yes, this is Jungle Book 2. Mowgli is living in the main village. And there's a whole story there. But the interesting thing, guess what it had on Rotten Tomatoes?
13%.
19%.
Oh, so it's terrible.
yeah, Disney animated sequels. I mean, I probably shouldn't say are all bad because I'm sure once I say that there'll be something in the comments like, well, this one, and then I'll be like, oh yeah, that one was
like
good.
Lion King 2.
Yeah, pretty good.
Wasn't bad. Yeah,
wasn't horrible.
That was the Scar one, right?
Right.
Yeah. And then 1.5. I never saw 1.5.
So I won't say all Disney animated sequels are bad, but
A lot of them were churned out pretty fast.
yeah,
and
they were
not
like the VHS. Good. They were the direct to VHS movies that like no one really pay attention to.
Well, what's interesting too is I did a little research on the Jungle Book, the book, because I was curious afterwards, and I guess it wasn't originally a book. It was like a thing that appeared in a magazine, and then they became a book. Like it was, and it's from 1894, so it's over. It's crazy, over 100 years old, and there's more than one of them because there's a sequel called the Second Jungle Book. And it involves 5 further stories with Mowgli. And I guess these were all told that they were all like fables where they were using the animals in a anthropomorphic. Is that the word? Anthropomorphic? I don't know the word. To give, it was all about like moral lessons. So that was all like the collection of it all. But, and let me see here. It was saying Mowgli's not in all of the original ones, but the best known ones are all Mowgli, the abandoned man cub who's raised by wolves in the jungle. But I didn't know there was this movie I watched a lot when I was a kid called Rikki Tikki Tavi, and it's a story about a mongoose who fights a cobra, and apparently that's from the Jungle Book. So the book.
So the original book.
Yeah.
Oh, so they took those characters.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So it's like the same universe almost.
It's not a book like here's chapter 30. It's just like here's a story, here's a story, here's a story. Yeah.
And they took one of those stories, almost like Mary Poppins has multiple. The actual books are multiple stories. So that's cool.
Yeah. So I thought that was pretty interesting. I didn't know that. So what's kind of crazy too is that Warner Brothers also has a Jungle Book movie in development. I don't know if you knew about this.
No.
Andy Serkis is doing it, and Andy Serkis, as you know, is very known for being a pioneer in the motion capture field of work. He was Gollum in Lord of the Rings. He was King Kong in King Kong, and he pretty much whenever there is an animated Caesar in the new Planet of the Apes movies.
Wasn't he Snoke too?
He was Snoke, in Star Wars. Yeah, absolutely. And he's kind of that go-to guy. This is I believe, his directorial debut, and he was working on this, and it's called Jungle Book Origins, but that movie's slated to come out in 2018. So he was appreciative because he felt like Warner Brothers was giving breathing room away from the Disney project. However, if they're developing a second one now, I feel like we're going to get Jungle Book saturation.
Yeah, Jungle Book 2 and then Jungle Book Origins.
Yeah, it's going to be
all right. No, like Jungle Book's good, but like,
isn't that good? Do we need
we need like 3 movies about it in the course of?
Well, remember when Snow White was the thing? It was like
the Huntsman.
Yeah, they were doing
like the other
Universal
one.
did the Huntsman, and Disney had one that didn't take off, and it was supposed to be like the 7 Dwarfs, but they were like samurais or something. And then, it was a really weird revisionist take on it. And then this was when they were first starting to do the live action stuff too, so they were trying to be like extra out of the box. And then there was that other terrible one with Julia Roberts in it, Mirror Mirror.
And I remember
that one was very like Bollywood inspired. But yeah, so I feel like we're getting to that route. But the thing is when something so famous like the Jungle Book is in public domain.
People eat it up.
Yeah, it's easily a mineable content, which now recently I've heard the next thing to fall into Disney's live action realm of pursuing their stuff is Peter Pan.
That's cool.
Yeah, so they're going to pursue a live action Peter Pan film, but I was reading this article and they were talking about how, they've done the Peter Pan character on Once Upon a Time, if you follow that, as kind of a villain, which was an interesting take on it. And then there was I had heard for a while there was this movie that was like the Peter Pan story but set in like a crime setting where like Hook was the police captain and Peter Pan was like this guy that was kidnapping kids, and so James Hook was like trying to pursue this guy. Yeah, I think Channing Tatum was attached to this movie at one point. Like,
I'd watch it.
Yeah, well, you had me at Channing Tatum.
That's when my ears pricked up.
And I there's that, and then Universal had that Peter Pan movie I guess it was about 10 or 12 years ago now.
People didn't
Maybe
let.
15.
Or no, there was another recent. There's Pan. That was.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. I knew there was another one. Yeah, the Joe Wright movie, and apparently that didn't go over so well.
Yeah, I liked it though.
I haven't seen it yet.
There's some weird scenes in it, but like, I don't know. I liked it. There's the scene.
I do love that Hugh Jackman.
When they originally bring Peter to like Neverland for the first time, he's around all the pirates.
Yeah.
There's like, it's just a weird scene, but I thought overall it was a good movie.
I'll have to check it out because I do feel like my favorite version, like incarnation of Peter Pan, has been Hook is number one for me with Robin Williams, obviously the late great, and actually I really did enjoy the Universal take on Peter Pan from like 2002, 2001, somewhere around there, which I don't know if you guys remember, but it was the one that had the Clocks song in the trailer. The Coldplay song was playing in the trailer a lot. That's how I always refer to it. It came out in 2003. It's this one. It had Jason Isaacs, as Captain Hook.
I don't think I've ever seen it.
It's an interesting kind of very straight up Peter Pan portrayal, and I don't know, I appreciate it. Obviously, Finding Neverland is an amazing movie too.
I've never seen that.
Oh my gosh, you have got to see it. Johnny Depp should have won an Oscar for that movie. I think he was nominated, but that movie is fantastic, and it's very much like that movie is how I feel like they should do all biographical films. If the person who they're doing it about has had some sort of a fantastical, like if J.M. Barrie, he wrote Peter Pan, so it has like the elements of Peter Pan in it. So if they do, Roald Dahl, you obviously need something like this that has those fantastical elements woven in. Have you seen Finding Neverland?
I feel like I have, but I can't recall it in my head. I feel like I should say I have, but
I feel like I want to throw hot coffee on all of you.
I think
I feel getting so angry.
I feel like yesterday we were showing me movies and Heads Up, and you were just so frustrated because I knew like only half of the movies that you're like, oh, pass it.
It's hard for me. So I went to school for film, and I feel like as a younger child, and even today, I still am and it gets portrayed as me. People think I'm an ass sometimes, but
No.
I really just am very shy, and I don't do small talk very well, and I've come a long way. Like working at Disney helped that a lot, and now at the Diz, I kind of just go with it, and I'm like, well, it's just awkward, and we all get through it together. And for me, film is a language, and it was the only language in my life that I've ever been able to get a full grasp in and be able. I find that it's a way for me to communicate, and so that's why I look to it in the way I do. But also, I feel like I go into some films sometimes, and it's one of the mediums for me that I can fully absorb everything. Like I'm a very firm no phone out.
Yeah.
Don't kind of leave me alone. Don't talk to me really during the movie. Like you can whisper in my ear. Every now
Not
and
to
then.
sidetrack, but the whole AMC thing then was like a
it was a nightmare to me. It was basically the downfall of the cinematic experience.
Should we explain what it was?
Yeah. You can explain.
Yeah, so basically AMC announced that they were going to have some theaters that you could text in.
The a-hole theaters.
Yeah. And basically the CEO said like, we're not going to, if teens are going to text, well, we might as well give them a theater to be able to text in or something. And it had such a huge outlash. Yeah, that's right.
Backlash?
Yeah.
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 Outcry. Backlash.
Yes.
There it is.
I mixed two.
Yeah.
that basically a day later or 2 days later, the CEO announced on Twitter, he's like, "Oh, sorry, like I guess we're not doing that," because it was such like a huge response of like, "No, that's a horrible
and
idea."
good. I'm
Like,
glad.
Yeah,
I want those
Don't
people
give
that
in.
backlash.
Yeah,
exactly. Don't give in.
yeah. And once you do, it makes, that's going to start to spill over into the theaters that aren't like text.
Right.
It
It becomes that slip in society that people need for it to become like allowable. So when I saw The Jungle Book, I'll bring this back to it. 2 rows down in front of me, I saw 2 people on their phones during the movie. Like that bright light carries up and it catches your eye and it pulls me out of the world that someone has tried to craft for me to go into, out of the real world. That's why I go to a movie. Also, an IMAX movie is about $20 a ticket. And you're just going to say, I don't care. If you don't enjoy the movie, get up and get out.
Yeah.
Because I could be enjoying it. Right. And it happened when I saw Batman versus Superman down on the row. I could see phones go off and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I get it. Like not everybody likes it, but I really enjoyed it. Right. And there's
something too where like when it's dark in the theater and I know it's only like a small little phone, but it's kind of like a dark tunnel to the movie.
You know what? You said something to me once, and it's what I compare it to now. You and I went on Pirates. Were we in Pirates in Disneyland? And somebody was taking flash photography. It's using flash photography on a dark ride. These things are lit for a specific reason, for an specific experience, and you are ruining that for the people around you. Yeah. And it's not even like I understand. Okay, so. For whatever reason you can't not look at your phone, step out into the hall, whatever, cover it up. Like it's just people being so unaware of the people around them, like so rude that only they matter.
The first week of me working for the Diz, actually, I wasn't even the first week. It was probably the first day or two that I had just gotten to Orlando. I had never even been to the studio yet.
Yeah.
And I hadn't even talked to Pete on the phone since I had the interview with him. And basically I got a call and I was in the movie and I left. I just left the movie because I was like, I'm not gonna I could have gone back in, but then at that point I was missing like a good chunk of the movie. That's what you have to do if I'm not gonna ruin the experience for everyone else because
like just be respectful to the people around you.
Right. And like I might have lost out on $14 or whatever my ticket was, but like better than that than ruin everyone else who paid $14 experience.
Right. That's the thing. It's either silence, no vibration, turn the phone off when you go in the movie, or if you need to keep it on, that's fine. But be respectful of those around you.
Yeah. It's not your living room,
that's all
basically.
I'm saying. Exactly. Yeah. This is not your living room. Others have paid there for that experience as well. And that's what I'm saying. You're undervaluing everybody else's experience. There's not even an argument to be made here. I don't want to hear the argument if you're somebody who thinks it's okay. You're wrong. That's all I'm going to tell you is that you're an idiot and you're wrong. And I'm sorry for calling you an idiot, but I will get you the Emily Post etiquette book, and you can scroll through that and see how terrible of a human being you are. Or I'll just tell you right now. I'm just going to keep saying it.
Has anyone considered that it might just be a publicity stunt from AMC? Because it sounds that stupid to me that people would even think that it's an okay thing to do. Is it not just a publicity stunt?
That they just were trying to draw attention to themselves?
Well, I don't know. I guess all publicity is good publicity, but I don't know if that's true in this case because people... I don't know.
It's...
I don't know. I don't see the angle of like where this gets them something.
You know what? But there was a chain that took advantage of this. By the way, if you haven't seen Melissa McCarthy's video of that they play it at the Alamo Drafthouse in front of her films, you need to Google it and look it up. It involves some profuse language, but it's about her talking about like texting while you're in a movie or using a phone. But Alamo Drafthouse has a very specific. Very strict. I'm sorry. Strict policy, no phones. In fact, I think they kicked Madonna out once she used her phone. Yeah. And they didn't know who it was, but they kicked her out and she complained. But I think she ended up apologizing actually too, not saying that she did it without thinking. But they have a very strict policy. And I just want that theater chain to expand aggressively because I want to enjoy the experience of cinema because I care about the people that put their life in to make this thing for me. You know what I mean? Like it's respectful. Mm-hmm. And I if I made something like that, I would hope that I could hold somebody's attention. I don't even care. I'm getting more angry as we talk about it. Like a movie is not just the story that you hear. Like sound is one part of a movie. The visual is another part. The editing is another part. You know, the colors are another part. Everything means something. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And if you're in a crap movie, then yeah, maybe it doesn't. You know what I mean? A Transformers movie doesn't mean that, you know?
Yeah.
But it's still a visual spectacle. It demands your attention. And if it's losing the attention, leave. That's what I'm going to say. Leave. Right. It's okay.
Because there might be someone there that it might mean that to someone even if you don't think it means
right.
that.
I feel like we've ranted. We've gone down a... So that's our rant for the episode. But if I pull it back in a little bit here, so we were talking about Jungle Book. Yeah, had a good segue. And Jon Favreau was the director of Jungle Book, director of Elf, the movie Chef, or some other good, some other films that people love. Iron Man 1, obviously. Yeah. He was basically the guy who set out and did the first movie in the MCU. He created the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Yeah. And so he's actually just been brought on to be the executive producer of the big event, the Infinity War, which... for those of you who don't know, that's the big culmination. That's the end of phase 3 of everything that Marvel's movies have been working up to. At the end of the Avengers, the teaser during the credits was Thanos, and this is like the big fight with Thanos. And so that's interesting that they're bringing everybody in, getting involved here. And actually, Kevin Feige, the guy who heads up like the Marvel studio, the guy behind the cinematic universe, pretty much, he's been talking about phase 4, which is what takes place after the Infinity War. Yeah, he was saying about I think I actually have a quote. He said that he thinks there will be a finality to the moments at the end of phase 3, as well as new beginnings that will mark a distinctly different chapter in what will someday be the complete first saga made up of 3 phases. So he's basically saying, like, some stuff's going to carry over, but this is the new beginnings. So that'll be interesting. And will we be tired at that point? Will we be drawn out a little bit? Maybe. I
don't think so.
I don't know. Yeah,
there's been think about when was Iron Man 1?
2008. 2009?
So how many years?
I think it was 2008. About 8 years ago.
8 years ago?
Yeah.
That's 8 years of the Marvel Universe, and I'm getting more excited.
I think they're actually at their best right now, because from what I've heard is, like Guardians was amazing.
Yeah.
Guardians for me is an A+ movie. I think Captain America, not the first Avenger, that was terrible. The second movie, The Winter Soldier, was like a great political thriller. Avengers is a great movie, the first one. And they're just kind of on this streak. I think that's like,
and I actually disagree, because I do like the first Captain America.
That's okay. Yeah, it's okay. That's what we're allowed to like different things. I like good things. You like bad things. For me, I don't like Captain America 1 because it's very choppy, very PC, and it doesn't really have an end. It just kind of falls into the beginning of it. It felt like they had to make the movie because they needed Captain America, which is great to me. That for me, my least favorite Marvel movie has now come around to. The second movie is like my favorite, I
it only makes sense. Captain America's story, though, only makes sense if it starts at World War II.
Yeah, I agree. It really, that setup, like, they had to have that movie. There was no way around it.
And yeah, because if you think about Captain America, he is like supposed to be the soldier for good.
Yeah.
And all the veterans, obviously, this is no disrespect, but the World War II is the one where there's such a clear good versus evil, and the Nazis being like so clearly evil.
Yeah, I agree. And it was a simpler political time.
Right.
Things have always been complicated. We just didn't hear about it in the same way. But so it was very much, it was the where like men were men, soldiers were soldiers,
and the good guys, went out and defeated the bad guys, and that's still true to some case. But I feel like World War II was like the one where, like, there's no worse guy than Hitler.
Yeah.
So
you think of like
when you think
the embodiment of an evil.
When you think of the embodiment of a bad guy, he kind of plays that. He was that role.
Well, what's worked so well too is the fact that they were able to bring that. That's why I love the second one. Is kind of like they bring that goody two shoe the lines are getting blurred and blurred every day about what's right and what's wrong. Like we talk about terrorism, we talk, about. I mean, we can even bring this into a Disney aspect. We've got metal detectors everywhere now. We've got all this stuff and this threat. And I'm not saying the threat isn't alive, but we have drone surveillance, military surveillance. I mean, Oliver, you come from England is very known for, you guys have cameras everywhere.
We do.
Yeah.
Absolutely everywhere.
And it's just kind of one of those, you're giving up, you give up a piece of yourself. You know what I mean? And I understand the other side of it too, where you're saying like, well, I'm giving up this for the good, the bigger picture.
Right.
And it's kind of like, it's an interesting, just a debate to pull somebody from back then when things were much simpler. I mean, I know World War II and Nazis were not simple, but the ideology of good versus evil, and plop that down into an area where it's very like motives are can people be trusted anymore? Does power corrupt? It's just one of those. And that's why I think Captain America is such a rich character right now. And,
I also want to clarify. I'm not saying that we're not fighting the bad guys now, because that's still very true. I just wanted to clarify.
I didn't feel like you didn't say that.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I know what you're saying. Like it was a world war as a united force. Like it was one side versus one side.
Right. Now it's like such a political climate where like we're fighting one group and then that group's fighting another. So it's just like a lot more messier, where it's like World War II is just very clear on,
Right. It's also easier to go back into history, you know what I mean, and like paint the picture that way. So whereas like we're living it. But I also think that's what's great about Winter Soldier is it's dropping him in here, and it's basically kind of being like, are the good guys the good guys, or are the good guys the bad guys?
Nice.
But what are they doing that's so bad when they're like, you're protecting people, but at what cost do they give up? Freedom is the first thing to go. And so it's interesting. It's a really, and that actually gets me very excited for Civil War, because I feel like this is going to be like two good guys who have two different opinions.
Yeah.
You've got Tony Stark, who is kind of originally an arms dealer, kind of a guy who saw the error of his ways, but now he's gotten to the point where he sees even the damage the good can do. And now you've got Captain America, who's like, well, I've lived through a time when men used to make other men register who they are. And which is another reason why I love the X-Men franchise, because of those like allusions to World War II or, so you've got that aspect, but then you also have like, for anybody who's ever felt different in their life, I feel like the X-Men are somebody you can latch into, because it's all about, it's got that whole like, is homoerotic the right word? I don't think it's the right word.
I do not think that's the right word.
No.
I mean, it's definitely in there. Come on. Everybody's seen Wolverine in the first X-Men movie, and it's wonderful. But
maybe I should start watching these films. I mean, I've been missing out on this whole genre. I didn't know existed. Wow.
But it's got that whole, like, that undercurrent of somebody who's had to hold in, whether you were gay or straight or, like, well, I guess you don't have to hide if you're straight, but like if
you've ever felt different.
Right, exactly. It's got that whole like everybody's been in high school and felt separated. You know what I mean? And this is kind of that underdog, those underdog stories. So
for sure.
Yeah. But that's Civil War excites me, and that's what I love about Marvel is now they're delving into like, it's not origin, sequel. Now it's kind of they're meshing together more, and I want to see more of that. And so I'll be interested to see what's happening with that. But so people are calling this like the Avengers 2.5, which I'm okay with. It's got pretty much everybody except for Thor and
We
Hulk.
talked about how this movie is great because it allows them to continue to like unite the Avengers in a way. I mean, it's separate because it's the Civil War, but they're bringing them all into the same movie without having to. They're kind of separate from the Infinity War, Thanos stuff. Like
it's like them together on a day-to-day thing versus like it having to be this cosmic threat.
Yeah, you're right.
Like this gives us that window into the life.
It also gives us. I feel like I mean we haven't seen it, but I also feel like it'll bring us more of a their personality kind of a thing, you know, like why they're fighting each other, like what are their differences,
what drives them,
what makes them different, you know, where the other ones, it's just clearly like, okay, Thanos,
we've got to put it all aside, we've got to fight together.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
So-
that's a good point. That's a really good point. Well, some of the reviews have come out for the movie. I haven't read anything specifically because I stay out of spoiler territory for sure. Especially when there's a rumored death to be happening in this movie. No, I have no idea who if you follow the comic books, like I think I know who the character is in the comic books, but I don't think that the movies are going to take that route. So the praise coming from the movie this far out is very positive. It's in the 90% right now. And it's saying some of Marvel's best, and it's saying that another thing I've heard is that the only complaint I've heard is it's another villain that's kind of underdeveloped, but I don't really feel like the villain is the point of this story, so I don't think that's going to be an issue for me. But they've also said that Spider-Man and Black Panther kind of steal the show.
That's cool. I remember Robert Downey Jr. I saw him in an interview, I think with he was on one of the late night shows, and he basically said that the actor that plays Spider-Man,
Tom Holland?
does an amazing job.
If you haven't seen, he was in another film. He was one of the sons in The Impossible. And this film was one of the best films I saw the year it came out. I think it came out a year or two ago, maybe 2 years ago. But, I mean, I pretty much cried the whole time in the movie theater. But it's just it's about the tsunami. It's a tsunami story. And Ewan McGregor was fantastic. Naomi Watts was nominated for an Oscar. And the guy who directed The Impossible, I believe, is actually the new director for Jurassic World 2. And so a lot of stuff's coming out of that movie now. But if you're looking for a piece of work to visit, like what I often do it's kind of somebody you don't know, but you want to see some of the body of work, watch this movie. It's a great movie. It's a good movie. I always get very emotional when there's a movie about strangers helping strangers in rough times. So obviously, like when villagers help the mom, I'm just like, oh, they don't even know her. They're such good people. I'll just cry a lot, but
That's great.
yeah. So, I'm going to bring us back down. We've been talking a lot more than I expected, but I'm going to bring us back down a little bit more intimate here into the TV realm, into Netflix, because I did that arts and crafts where I was reviewing the Daredevil series and kind of talking about Marvel's. It's not the MCU, but it's definitely a shared universe. But it's all on Netflix, and they have some stuff going on. So Daredevil season 2 was released earlier this year. I'm almost done with it. I've still got a couple episodes to go. Different than season 1, but I like that. I like when things are different. Jessica Jones is out there. Fantastic show. Definitely check that out. And then later this year, we're going to get Luke Cage, which I have a thing here where they were saying that this is going to be Marvel's most... I don't know if the word was sophisticated, but adult show. And it's been quoted as having a very 90s hip hop vibe. So that seems interesting to me. So I think music is going to have a huge influence in this series. So that seems kind of cool. I really like the guy who's playing Luke Cage a lot. I think he was great in Jessica Jones. Marvel's most sophisticated. I was right. An adult series to date. The Wire of Marvel series. That's what they're comparing it to, the show The Wire.
So if it's going to be 90s hip hop, then it's not Fresh Prince of Bel-Air 90s hip hop. It's hardcore.
I'm
90s hip-hop.
assuming it. No, not really any West Philadelphia born and raised sort of situation here. God, try not finishing that song once you've heard that much of it, Which, by the way, one of my favorite things to happen in life is when that comes on my Pandora station. It'll be the whole song. It's not just like the theme song. It's like all the verses. And you're just like, God, I love it.
There's another verse in there that's not in the show.
Yeah, that's the one that comes on my Pandora.
Yeah,
it's like the second, because the show's based on the song.
First ever episode.
Yeah, you're Fresh
Yeah.
Prince of Bel-Air.
I do. And it's slightly off topic. Since I moved here, there's a company, not sponsored, but there's a company called Del Air, and they specialize in air conditioning.
Yeah.
And every time I'm behind it, every time I'm driving behind one of their trucks,
gosh.
I just start singing it. It's crazy.
That's so funny. So the reason why I brought up the Netflix stuff though is because they're working on their own sort of shared Avengers style show called The Defenders. Mm-hmm. And so Disney and or Marvel, Disney Marvel, whatever, and Netflix signed a 5-series deal. So they had Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage is coming out, and they just started production on the Iron Fist. And I guess there was a photo that somebody caught on set, but that show is, I guess, expected to air sometime in early 2017, and they're going to start filming The Defenders toward the end of this year. So I believe that'll be our next fall thing to come out. And they just had who was it? Douglas Petrie and Marco Ramirez, who served as showrunners for season 2 of Daredevil, are now set for that same role in the Defenders series, and they've also brought Drew Goddard back to executive produce. He was involved with developing the first season of Daredevil, which was fantastic. So that excites me. And then that 5th series, by the way, is going to be the Defenders series. But it's apparently going to be not as many episodes. So each one of these series is 13 episodes. This is only going to be I believe 6.
That's cool though, and I'm sure it'll be one of those things where if it's a super big success, then
I look forward to it. Have you watched any of these shows yet?
I have started Jessica Jones.
Jessica, you went with that one first? It's
Yeah.
good.
It's good. I never
caught
got
first
caught
episode.
though. Like you know when you watch a show and it happened for me with Breaking Bad. That when I first started watching Breaking Bad, I didn't love it.
Me too.
But then there was a moment where it ticked, and then I loved it.
For me, it was somewhere in season 2,
Yeah.
or maybe even the very beginning of season
And-
3, where I was like, now I'm in.
Right.
You know?
And I feel like I just haven't got there yet with Jessica Jones, where it hasn't really clicked with me yet.
What I will say, for me, it's when David Tennant first finally makes his full appearance on screen. You know, because they allude to him in the first episode, and then in the second episode, you kind of see the back of his head or whatever. Once he shows up,
everything.
it's very interesting. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
It really gets, and it goes into places that I haven't really seen other superhero shows go, because you've got those more episodes that you can kind of take your time with it. But it's interesting. I would say don't give up. For me, the episode that fell flat the most, though, was the finale. I don't know if it's just because it was over, or it just kind of felt like it got to this thing and it was okay. Yeah, you should definitely watch it, though, because the episodes leading up to that are insane. But, yeah, that's that. And so Civil War, we talked about that. That's going to open May 6th, so that's very soon. I can't wait for that. I think you'll be seeing an arts and crafts video. And maybe a drink. Who knows? Maybe something Iron Man. Not like a drink with iron in it. What has a lot of iron in it? You guys know?
Blood.
So
Blood
drink
has a lot of iron.
blood. So we'll be making blood drinks. Maybe a Bloody Mary.
Oh.
Oh,
Like,
good recovery.
There we go. There the iron. We need a good team cap. I don't know what a good Captain America drink would be. We'll have to
I feel like
figure
you
that
should.
out.
You know those drinks where you can layer them?
That's what I was thinking.
If you
Red,
did-
white, and blue.
yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah. So there'll be an arts and crafts and drinks video coming out.
Sorry, I was lost in my own world then.
You were
Completely lost.
moving just right where I wanted to put my hand like a dummy. I was going to say inside of you, so I just said it now, but it just got gross real fast. So I'm excited for Civil War. Oh, I had one little thing about Civil War. So Samuel L. Jackson apparently says he's not in any Marvel movies until Avengers 3 and 4.
Wow,
So there'll be no real Shield. I'm
That's
sure they'll
okay.
have to talk.
I think
about
that's
SHIELD a
okay,
little
though.
bit, but yeah, I don't want to overdo anybody.
Yeah, right.
You know?
And make things natural. If he's not supposed to be there, don't
Right. Don't
force
just pop
him.
him in because you're like, well, we need
He
Nick
has
Fury,
to be
you
there.
know?
Yeah.
I am a little surprised he's not in Civil War, because I feel like engagement like this,
He'd be like,
because of-
guys, break it up.
right. Well, because of the way he kind of showed up in Age of Ultron, because he cares about Tony a lot, I would feel like maybe he would. So I feel like maybe he's got a cameo in this movie, and it's like he's just misdirecting. But well, time will tell. So Civil War, May 6th. Like I said, we'll be doing an arts and crafts video for that, and because I believe it's crazy how fast time is flying. It's April. It's the end of April already, so that'll be the next thing to look out
Crazy.
for, and perhaps a Star Wars related video coming out from May the 4th as well.
Ooh.
Yeah. So, some stuff to look forward to, but that's it. We've been
Wait.
talking. What?
Are we got-
Oh no, yeah, you're right. We have
Yeah.
some TV news too. So we don't want to make it all
Yeah.
just Marvel and Disney. We've also got,
The Disney Channel original movie marathon,
which is pretty cool. I think this is the first time they've done something like
Yeah,
this.
well,
right?
it's I just looked it up. It's in celebration of Disney's 100th original movie, Adventures in
oh my
Babysitting.
gosh, 100
100 original
Disney
movie.
Channel original movies.
Yeah. And so
Wait,
starting-
what did you? I cut you off though. Adventures in Babysitting.
Yeah, coming this summer. It
So are
doesn't
they
say-
they're remaking the movie? They must be. Or maybe it's just a movie
maybe.
based on the book as well, because there is a
Oh.
theatrical release of that
Yeah,
movie.
I'm not familiar, so I just said
Okay.
yeah. Well, anyways, it's Friday, May 27th to the 30th. basically, and then there's like 2 movies on the 31st. It seems like most of the big ones are on Monday, May 30th. I'm surprised they didn't leave that for like a weekend. But yeah, so we got like High School Musical, Smart House, Camp Rock, Descendants. I won't go through them all, but Cheetah Girls,
Halloween Town,
hashtag
stuff
Cheetah
in there.
Sisters.
Yeah, your favorite. You should see his Cheetah Girls tattoo.
Yeah.
Hashtag below the waist. Don't hashtag us on that, please. But yeah, so that's kind of cool. That's a fun, like, well, is it fun for parents? Might not be, but what's great is like you're gonna get the old school Disney Channel movies, like
Yeah.
all the way up into like the new stuff.
Like they have
you
Halloween
people know how I
Towns in
feel
here.
about the Descendants too, because I
Yeah.
wrote a review for WDW Info, and for
Check out the
Viz.
link.
Yeah, you should check it out. It's a guilty movie. Like there's a couple songs that I like to run to from that movie, and it's a ridiculous movie. It is one of those movies where you have to probably be 3 sheets to the wind to enjoy. But the second time I watched it, I might have been at least 2.5 sheets in. Bedspreads. I don't know what that means.
But yeah, there's lots of like classic ones, like you said. I think there'll be a lot of movies that might bring the older generations.
Yeah.
Like Halloween Town. That's an older.
Oh yeah, super popular. And I love that they're playing those off-season ones too. Like they get included. You know what I mean?
What do you mean? Oh,
Like Halloween
Oh,
Town.
right,
Yeah,
right, right.
because normally that's.
Well,
a
I think they're
Halloween
doing
thing.
all 100 movies.
Yeah. Well, they are. Yeah,
Yeah.
you said that. But I like that, like, seasons be damned. We're doing them all. You know? Like, I don't know. Will
Yeah.
you be tuning in? I don't have cable. See,
I don't have cable,
I was a
yeah.
cord cutter, so I'm all on Apple TV
Yeah,
now.
I'm also.
But there is a Disney Channel app on Apple TV which you can get, and if you work for Disney or have a spouse that works for Disney or something like that, you actually get it for free. So have them log in with their information. And I'm not sure how it works. I know they've been trying to do a lot more streaming content with the app because when The Descendants came out, you could watch it in the app 2 days early. So
Wow.
I wonder if they'll make these all available. That's something to check
That would
out.
be really cool.
Yeah, and I was like, it would be fun to challenge somebody to watch all 100 of them, but I don't want to wish that on anybody
Yeah.
because there's some bombs.
There's
in
some bad ones.
there. I mean, how many Cheetah Girl movies are there? Like 4?
Too many.
Too many is the correct answer.
Yeah. I think
I mean,
3. No, there's 3.
How many paw prints do you have tattooed on you? One for every movie.
Yeah, I got 3. Actually, no, I had to get the 3 paw prints removed from my face.
It was a face tattoo.
Yeah.
Steve was real hardcore into the Disney Channel original scene for a long time. Talk about Disney bounding. In fact, we will be talking about Disney bounding in a future installment, too.
Stay tuned.
Yes. Stay tuned. My favorite John Ritter film.
Oh.
Yeah. Anyway, I actually do really enjoy that movie. But if you've never seen it, please
Do you
go
know-
watch it.
Do you know who? This is sidetrack, but John Ritter looks like the comedian we like.
Pete Holmes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Side-
he could be.
s-
he could
side
be the
comment,
son.
but-
yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
That's all I had to say about that.
Well, I think that's it. Well, actually, if we want to like dip into the music area for a second too, I guess Disney released. I'm really sad I missed out on this. So you guys know about like National Record Day? Is that what I?
I heard a little bit about
it's
this on
called?
Twitter.
Yeah. Well, they do it every year, and they'll do like these kind of pressings, exclusive, like they get released on that day, and they're whatever. But Disney did one, and it was a Disney like hits Disney Record Day, and Record Store Day. Excuse me. I'm a big fan. I've got a record player. I collect
cool.
some stuff. I get new and old stuff. Most of the new stuff I get is like Florence and the Machine, like something that lends itself to that, like Mumford and Sons, like has that recordy sound
Right.
to it. But I think this Disney one would have been really cool because apparently they did a like kind of just like favorites for it.
That's cool.
And I was trying to see if I could find a list of it, but I can't see it. So, here it is. It was a cool. I'm sorry, I'm not going to share it with anybody. What are you going to say, Oliver?
I was going to say, is this the reason? A few weeks ago, I noticed there was just actual records popping up in the stores. I did think that was a bit strange. I really did.
Oh, in Disney, that's a separate thing, I think.
Oh no, yeah,
But some of those are around here somewhere.
yeah. Oh,
I think it's that bag right
there
there.
used to be, yeah.
Oh.
You want to? I'm going to get up and get them real quick.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that them?
So yeah, so Disney has been doing these, like, see, so this is like the Toy Story hits, like favorites is what it's called. So it's got the songs from all three movies on there. These picture discs. There's a Sleeping Beauty one. They make cool,
Yeah.
like cool. Which one do you want to see? Do you want to see some Beauty? They got a Little Mermaid one. You know, and The Lion King, which I love because I love the Lion King's I think my favorite animated Disney movie, but like. And this is the original, all the songs, and then it's got some of the score on there. But they've been doing that. I know there's a Frozen one as well. So they've like these picture discs. Oh, I also have The Nightmare Before Christmas. That one's really cool. I got that one at T23, but you can get it wherever Hot Topic sells these too, I think. But you can buy these in the parks now, and they're quite cool. And I mean, I vinyl is on like vinyl is
It's like coming back.
Yeah. In a way, like it's kind of cool. I don't know. I like that Disney's kind of embraced it and they're releasing because these type of things, like this is what I would listen to on a vinyl, like because they existed in that time. You know, I have an Elton John vinyl that has like a best of hits. I mean, it doesn't go. It's an old one, so it doesn't go up to, you know, the '90s. But it's a fun medium to kind of pop it on and like do some chores around the house, listen to it.
This is like a little bit off topic, but I feel like it's kind of interesting that vinyl. There's not a lot of old technology, let's say, that comes back. I just think it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, it's an interesting like that it's stuck around and circled back in.
Yeah.
But so I guess the Disney favorite songs, they were limited. It was only 5,000 pressings, so I'm sure this one
wow.
went like
Yeah.
in hours or whatever. But so they do things like that. But that's probably why you saw a lot more of that. I would have liked to have gotten my hands on it because the thing with vinyl is like I like a good mixtape, and since it's the best of, like
Yeah.
it's hard to find those sort of
Right.
things. But you know, if anybody out there got their hands on more than one and they want to sell one, I'll buy one off you. But so that's something cool, fun to look to. I think that's it. I think we covered movies. We got some television in there. We got some music in there.
We did a little rants.
Yeah,
couple
we
rants.
did. We did a movie theater rant.
Yeah.
And you know, I maybe that we'll quit on that high note there before we go too far. So I'm gonna put that down. And like I said, you can look forward to. There's gonna be another. I believe there will be. I'm working on the logistics right now. A Civil War, hopefully an arts and crafts video. I'm thinking maybe. I don't know. Do I want to say? I don't know. I don't
No,
want to
leave
like
it
people
for
get
suspense.
hopes up.
Leave
Yeah.
it- leave it.
So and then look for a special Star Wars video, whether there'll be an arts and crafts in there or not. Well, there will be. But so you've got those to look forward to, and we'll do another one of these fun things, hopefully in the future. So I just want to say thank you to you guys for participating.
Thank you.
You're both terrible. And
I'm so sorry.
no, thanks a lot. I really appreciate it. Thanks to anybody who watched this and listened to my really annoying nasally voice. I do have a cold, but it is normally nasally too, so I do apologize if you've never heard me speak before. You're welcome. And that's it. Oh, I guess we'll see you next time for another a little bit more Diz Pop. Getting good at that, Oliver.